Tyler, thanks for joining us. Explain to us why Microsoft and ServiceNow.
Yeah, good morning. So obviously ServiceNow and Microsoft, they've already reported their second quarter results. They came out and issued some more caution on the guide. I think ServiceNow in particular, they actually saw some deal slippage in the quarter, missed their bookings number, and took down numbers for the second half. So we think they've already incorporated a much more realistic view of the macro environment, particularly with ServiceNow. As we get into the July quarter, companies, whether that's Salesforce or Snowflake, we do see some risk that some of these issues that impacted Microsoft and ServiceNow could cause some issues and drive a reset to their outlook.
And so give us a sense of infrastructure security. We're showing some of those stocks right now. Where's the opportunity now? And then also on the flip side, where do you see the most risk in this environment?
Yeah, so one of the areas that's been a big topic of conversation among investors is these cloud consumption models. So you have companies like Snowflake, MongoDB, Elastic, where these are not purely subscription revenue models where you're charging based on the number of workers that you have or the number of salespeople, but it's based on how much infrastructure are you consuming, how much database capacity, how much analytics queries are you running. And so I think there's a lot of debate in how do you value these things relative to these subscription models. Our view among those infrastructure consumption models is companies like MongoDB and Elastic that are tied more to security, that are tied more to applications that aren't going to see massive fluctuations up and down. Those are more defensive places to be. I think you've seen Snowflake over the last couple of quarters have some issues, whether it was large customer exposure with some of the work from home beneficiaries, or just the fact that they are used for more analytics functions that can be a more of a bull market type of use case. So those would be our top picks in kind of the infrastructure and cyberspace.
Tyler, I love that you bring up this idea of the cloud consumption models. They kind of are untested going into an economic downturn, although I think the street is thinking that this is going to be more of a soft landing. Do you think that these kinds of models, though, are more vulnerable to bundling what a Microsoft or a Google or even a Salesforce can do? Where does that leave them?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, if you go back to some of those names I mentioned, Snowflake, MongoDB, Elastic, they actually work very closely with the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsofts of the world. Those cloud infrastructure consumption models are actually running on top of Amazon or Microsoft's cloud. Obviously, there is a bit of a co-opetition. You do see things like Microsoft and Google and Amazon have their own data warehouse offerings, which is what competes with Snowflake. But ultimately, I still think that for the larger players out there, this is a kind of a co-opetition. It is more of a co-sell arrangement because ultimately these public cloud vendors are trying to get more workloads, more spending on their platforms. So anyone that can help them do that, they're willing to partner with.